Hey there guys, Giraffic here with a WoW news update, and this one is a biggie. Blizzard just announced patch 9.0.5 going live on the PTR with an expected live release sometime in March. Amongst the plethora of class, spell, conduit and covenant changes, my condolences by the way if you got hit by the nerf bat, is one of the biggest and boldest moves to the gearing process we've seen in a while. So many voices in the community have been begging for this change that will quite frankly revolutionise the way we gear up our characters. That's right, you asked, they listened, and with patch 9.0.5 we finally have a map marker for the Great Vault. Oh, and they also put in something called Valor Points, whatever that is. But seriously, the reintroduction of Valor Points is a bigger thing than many may realise at face value, because it's a step towards the WoW gearing philosophies of old, and puts much more deterministic control with gearing back into the player's hands, which I would argue is absolutely a good thing. So what is Valor? Because we haven't really seen a Valor style system since Mists of Pandaria, it makes sense that a lot of you probably have no idea what it even is, or why there's so much hype around it. A Valor style deterministic PvE gearing system was first introduced in the Burning Crusade, and existed in some form until it was removed in Warlords of Draenor. In a nutshell, these systems allow players to collect a new currency from PvE content that in many of its forms was called Valor. Players could then spend this currency on new PvE gear of their choosing and gear up their character without having to rely solely on the boss loot drop slot machines. In the case of Shadowlands, so far we know that it will drop exclusively from Mythic Keystone dungeons and Covenant callings, with no word yet on raids. Valor drops at a very predictable and reliable rate, and there will likely be a set amount from every key you complete depending on the difficulty, which can be farmed up to a weekly cap. Historically, you've then been able to spend this currency at a special Valor vendor to buy pieces of gear for every slot, very similar to how the current PvP gear vendor system works. However, Blizzard have flipped the mechanics on us from the Valor systems of old, and you won't actually be able to get new gear with this currency, only upgrade existing Mythic Keystone gear. This is actually a very big deal, and it's most people's current concern with the implementation. From what we understand from the Blue Post, any Mythic Keystone dungeon gear drops will be upgradable through this system in a similar fashion to how you can upgrade PvP gear with Honor. It's safe to assume that any gear you've already got from Mythic Keystones prior to 9.0.5 will be eligible for the upgrade system, so don't worry. Upgrading your gear will boost its item level up to the next rank, and hence increase the stat value that it provides. So what's with all the hype around Valor? There's a lot of reasons this has been such a passionately demanded feature by the community. Firstly, because as time went on there was an increasing disconnect between the time that someone put into the game and their increase in player power as a result. Things like Titan Forging and other RNG systems on top of gearing really rubbed salt in the wounds of players who wanted to be rewarded for all the time they put into the game, versus someone who just logs in occasionally and gets really lucky with a Titan Forge. While I'm generally in favour of systems that make the game more accessible to casual players, I definitely believe that people should be rewarded for sinking more time and effort into the game. Secondly, it provides an increase in the possible power gains through PvE content, which players have been finding quite lacking so far in the Shadowlands. Currently, rated PvP is still one of the most efficient ways of gearing up a character to prepare them for any kind of endgame content, which isn't really how people think it should work. It's a bit of a contrast to Battle for Azeroth, where there were complaints that there were too many gear upgrades being thrown around too easily from PvE content. I think it will be really interesting to see whether or not Blizzard can strike this balance with the Valor system. Thirdly, it completely solves that awful feeling you get when you spend up to an hour of your time getting a group together and completing a Mythic Plus dungeon, only to open that final chest and find just a laughable amount of anima inside. It's soul crushing, and it made it feel like the only purpose to running keys is to tick a box for that weekly vault. At least with Valor, you are progressing with every single keystone run you do and building towards that next upgrade. Finally, and in my opinion most importantly, it provides a deterministic power upgrade process for your character through PvE. Instead of having to rely on the slot machine we currently have, it will allow players to target which pieces they want to upgrade. Seeing a best in slot piece drop from a low level key is now super exciting because you can carry that through with you and upgrade it to higher levels. It gets rid of the futility we have at the moment where you probably have a gear slot that hasn't seen an upgrade since last year. I know I have, looking at you, Shoulders. Obviously you still need to get a piece for each gear slot from a mythic keystone to begin with, but it is still leagues better than not having the system at all. One really important thing to note with this system is that there will be imposed limits on how much you can upgrade your gear. Unlocking new Valor item level caps will depend on your completed dungeon history. To increase your current upgrade cap, you need to complete every dungeon at a certain keystone level. I'm relieved and actually quite shocked that they didn't tie this to renown like the PvP gear upgrade caps, and I'm sure someone suggested it in that meeting, but I'm glad they decided not to go with it. Tying the upgrade caps to keystone progress makes a lot of sense, and it encourages people to venture into all the dungeons rather than just spamming the quick ones. This table shows the possible upgrade caps and what you need to have completed in order to unlock them. Everyone starts off with a Valor upgrade cap of item level 200. You don't need to do anything to earn that. If you complete a Mythic +5 for all available dungeons, you'll unlock the 207 upgrade cap. Doing them all on a +10 will upgrade the 213 item level cap, and if you can manage to complete all dungeons on Mythic +15, you will unlock the highest possible upgrade cap of 220, along with earning yourself the ultra cool Sin-Touched Deathwalker mount for the Keystone Master achievement. This level cap threshold system essentially mirrors the current Conquest item upgrade system where your PvP ranking determines your available PvP gear upgrade cap. But the interesting difference between these systems is that in the Conquest system, obtaining each piece of gear initially is time gated behind Conquest weekly caps, but then you can free farm the honour to upgrade as often as you like. This is opposed to the Valor system where you can technically free farm all of your best in slot items right out of the gate, but then the process of upgrading them is time gated by the weekly Valor cap. It'll be really interesting to see how these two approaches work side by side and which people end up preferring. So, how much Valor will things cost and how many runs do you need to do? In terms of upgrade costs and cap amounts, we haven't really been given too much insight just yet, but we do know that Valor cost of upgrades will scale, so higher item level upgrades will increase in cost. We also know that similar to how the PvP upgrades work, different gear slots will have higher or lower costs associated with their upgrades. I'm betting that the Valor costs of even basic upgrades are going to be a lot higher than people are expecting. I think about 3 to 4 dungeon runs of appropriate level keys to upgrade the cheapest gear slot and maybe 5 to 6 for weapons sounds about right to me. But what do you think? Is that too much? Too little? What feels right to you? Let me know in the comments down below. And for some final thoughts on the issue, and I'll preface this by saying that I am completely for the change and love deterministic rewards. However, one thing that I think will be really divisive about the Valor system is how once you find a best in slot piece of gear, you're just going to hang on to it for the rest of the expansion and upgrade it whenever you can. Therefore, one strategy with this would feasibly be just to farm all of your best in slot gear from +2 keys, and now for the rest of the expansion just farm dungeons for Valor and never need another drop again. Also, ultimately some people may just see this system as increasing your chores for the week. After all, it's just something else you need to do, another bar to fill. Because the mentality of some people can be that if you're not capping your Valor every week, someone else is, and you're technically falling behind the curve. Personally, I am not going to care about filling the bar. I'll probably do the same amount of dungeons that I do now, unless I'm getting really close to an upgrade, and just view this as a bonus rather than a requirement to maintain. If you just think about it as an extra avenue to gear upgrades with however much time you want to spend putting into farming those Valor points, then you are going to absolutely love this system. I'm going to keep pumping out Shadowlands guides and news videos and hopefully soon dabble in some live streaming, so if you'd like to see more stuff like this, please hit that red subscribe button down below. It really helps me out and absolutely makes my day. And in exciting and incredibly unexpected news, my last video on Renown Catch-Up and explaining the soft cap was featured in an Icy Veins article by Starum. I am still in complete shock that I'd ever appear on this site that I've been using for as long as I can remember. If you want to check it out, there's a link to the article in the description down below, or you can find it on my Twitter. But until next time, thanks for watching, take care, and good luck getting that best in slot gear.